What up, Noah Timers? How we doing? Today's video, I'm just gonna show some footage of a recent weightlifting session, and pretty much I'm gonna basically yap along and talk about just whatever I want. Okay? How about that? Just whatever I'm feeling like talking about. Okay? I feel like I've moved away a little bit from a part of the mission statement of the channel, which is just being a consistent outlet for, talking about my own personal self-improvement type journey as a way of providing an example of something that's consistent in your sub box of how do you achieve your goals. Wow. Go for gold and stuff. Wow. Just like the Olympics. I know the last workout I showed was me also doing a push day, aka shoulders, chest, and triceps day. I promise I do other things than that. I just so happen to decide to film on both of those days. I also am working with a knee injury right now, so my leg days are a little scattered, and I'll talk about that later on. So here I'm asking for a spotter because I am attempting a 1 rep max on bench press, which is 245. This is actually the most I've ever been able to bench, but it's been about 8 years. I got 245 as a 1 rep max when I was 18 or 19. So here we are trying it again all these years later, and I almost get it. I'm pretty sure it's possible that I would have got it. He kind of grabbed it a little early, and that's sort of on me for not fully explaining that I wanted him to let me kind of fight for it, because if the weight stops, like I got the weight off my chest, but it stopped, but you can still work through that position. I feel like I had enough strength, maybe, but maybe not. So after that, even though I had already tried a 1 rep max, you shouldn't try to 1 rep max twice in a row. So I just lowered the weight quite a bit by 20 pounds and went for 2 plates, which is another thing that I haven't been able to get in a very long time. But just about 10 weeks in of consistent strength training, and we'll see. You can see me adjusting the guards there because I didn't want to ask for another spot because I had to walk across the gym to do that, and I felt like that was just a whole hassle, and I didn't want to be mean. Not mean, but just interrupt the guy's workout twice in a row to walk across the... anyways, here we go. Up, down, wee. First one's pretty easy. Second one, I felt like even though it looks like it was hard, I had control. Like I wasn't worried about dropping it, It's one of those things. And if you drop it, oh well, You gotta just roll it off your belly. Actually, no, that's actually a little scary. I don't know. I should ask for a spotter, but this gym is just empty all the time, and I don't know how they stay in business, but it's whatever. I'm super excited about the fact that I got 2 plates because, first off, it was literally just over 2 months ago that I could barely get 155, and 2 plates is 225. I forgot to say the actual number, but I mean, you guys can do math. And although I haven't been perfect, like the ideal training program I'm following is a 6-day split, push-pull legs. I've missed quite a few days in there from just traveling and stuff like that. But I've been fairly consistent, as in I may have missed 4 to 5 days while I was traveling, but eventually get back into it. And apparently, you don't lose significant gains from not lifting. For around 2 weeks. I heard that in a YouTube video, which is where I learn all my lifting knowledge, which is really cool. Jeff Nippert will tell me a thing, and I believe him because he shows a study, but I don't read the study. But, I trust Jeff Nippert with my life and my soul. So, yeah, here I dropped the weight down to 185 and I think I did 2 sets with that and was able to get 5 or 6. The first one, I think, was 7, and then the second one was 6. And then what I've been doing, is just dropping the weight down slowly as I get a little more tired to try and stay in a rep range of anywhere from like 5 to 9, basically. If you're unfamiliar with strength training, that's a kind of like on the lower end of a hypertrophy rep range, which is just muscle building, as opposed to like strength gaining, which it sounds like they might be the same thing, but they're a little different. Muscle building, you're going to lose out on some actual like weight strength gains, but you're going to build more. I mean, it's in the name. And then strength training which is like lower reps. So like what I did at the start, which is like 1 or 2 reps, that is like the stimulus package for going beast mode with some heavy weight. So that was, what was this? 165? Yeah, I think 165 for, I don't know how many I did, but a good amount, more than 2. So just hypertrophy training. And then we go to incline. Now, it is fairly unrealistic, I think, to say that, most people are going to be able to gain the amount of strength that I gained in the 10-week period, just because I've gone through periods of lifting before. I've developed the muscles before. So even though I was basically untrained, I have muscle memory for what my body needs to do to be able to do that. So that's kind of one of two ways you can get really strong really fast, is by having muscle memory. And the other one is something called newbie gains, which is when you're just starting out, your muscles are ripe and fertile for muscle growth. I don't know exactly why that is, but basically when you start, you're going to be able to grow muscle a lot more than someone that's been doing it for a long time. The strength gains kind of plateau. Oops, hit the bar. Oh well. With that said, though, the amount of strength gains is also somewhat new to me, because there's a few things that I've been doing differently this period of time. One of which is being pretty consistent on not just training, but my nutrition. And my nutrition, basically the most important thing that you need to be doing to build muscle is getting enough protein. The vast majority of these days, I've hit the protein goal, which is, for me, it's 180 grams of protein per day, which is, I weigh about 189 pounds. And optimal protein for someone that's training consistently is anywhere from 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that kind of fits right in that window. That's another thing, is my weight has not changed this entire time. I've weighed pretty much exactly 189 pounds. And I think that's just because I'm putting on quite a bit of muscle and also eating at a relatively normal amount of calories. So I'm losing fat slowly. And because those are being exchanged, I'm not losing any weight currently. I'll talk about that more later on. How about that? For most people, and new lifters especially, this is overkill. It's unnecessary. It's like fully optimizing, maxing. And I think it actually ADHD wombo combo with lifting focus, because it's kind of, I get hyperfixated and I'm trying to fully max out all the little variables. So I watch and read a whole bunch of stuff about how to make it, as optimal as I can, which is cool. I think it's fun. Like I've talked about before, it feels like a little science experiment, put this in there, do this thing a few times, and then, you'll feel something new. You'll feel something different. Change the angle, do a new workout. Oh, what's that? I don't know what that is. It's my muscle stimuli are saying, oh, what is this, bro? What are you doing to us, bro? I don't know if I guess it's a muscle versus a muscle fiber. So the muscle fibers are grouped together and saying, what are you doing to us, bro? And then eventually, you know what's best for them. And they say, you know what, you were right the whole time. I do like it when you do overhead shoulder press with a bar, for the first time in a while. We like it. We love it even. So that's just a little way to build community with people in your life. Anyways, I know many, if not most, of y'all watching have the ADHD in the mind. So maybe that's something I could just let you know, is get hyper fixated on something. Get into that thing with your brain, the thing that you want to improve on. Just really go, all right, let's learn about this. Let's do a bunch of learning and reading about this. And I think with hyperfixation doesn't necessarily come the effort taken, materializing into the real world. I know a lot of my hyperfixations have been very much like I read and watch a bunch of stuff, but I don't do anything. Like I don't take steps if I want to try and turn it into a hobby or a habit, because the feeling of learning about it is almost like replicating the feeling of doing it. I don't know if that's the case for all hyperfixations, but for lifting this time around, it caught on for various reasons. Which yay, yippee. Here I am doing lateral raises. It's a shoulder workout. You're just, lifting it laterally using your shoulder. What's interesting is that recently I learned that I've been doing this exercise incorrectly for almost all of my life. I haven't actually focused on and targeted my shoulders while working these are the side delts. The shoulder's the deltoid, and when you do things on the side or laterally, you are working the side delts. There's the front delt, rear delt, and side delt. which is wow, so many delts that the Lord gave us. Thank you, the Lord, for all of our delts. But the way I realized that I was doing it wrong was, first of all, when I was lifting, someone told me. I don't know if you remember that other lifting video I did with Sophia with Zoomies, but she mentioned it somewhere in there. Maybe it wasn't actually on camera, but she said, like, she pointed out the fact that I wasn't really engaging my shoulder. And I heard her and I tried to fix that, but I still didn't know actually how to fix it. Like, even though she's telling me, yeah, just raise with your shoulder, I'm still not in my body doing that. I was doing it in my mind, but I wasn't actually doing it in my body until, maybe a week ago, where I was lateral raising, and randomly I thought, pull with your shoulder. Actually use only your shoulder and not your back. And then I felt it and I was like, oh, I'm actually very weak. I'm very weak when I do this, and that's probably why I don't do it properly, because I put on a weight that's pretty heavy for what my shoulder can actually do, and the only way I can do it is if I do it with incorrect form. So I just follow that pattern. So anyways, as you can see on this lateral raise, which I moved to cables to do basically the same exercise. It's a different stimulus, but same thing. I am using the lowest possible weight on the cable machine, which is, some would say, emasculating in soy, but I would say it's humility. It's saying, in front of a bunch of buff dudes, I don't mind holding a teeny tiny little weight, because I know that's what my muscle and body needs to actually grow the things that I want to grow and do the things that I want to do and to train it properly. So, you just put a little baby weight on there and you see what's going on. It's so jingly. This thing's so jingly. Also, this clip, for some reason, the focus went bananas. I don't know what happened. I think it was just tweaking out at how pumped and oiled up I am. Right now my build is, I'm trying to cut a little bit because I just feel like I'm too bulky. Not even in like a fat sense or anything. I just feel like because I've gained strength and I have a lot of fat over top, not a lot, just like, I don't know, 25% maybe less. But I just feel like the build I want to go for is just a little leaner. So we're going to try and do that, which I'll talk about how in a little bit. But I want to keep talking about, what was I talking about? The ADHD hyperfixation training approach isn't perfect. There are some drawbacks, mainly the fact that some days I'll be so fixated on it that it'll overtake the other priorities that I have, like needing to get some work done or something. I'll be like, okay, I'm really obsessed with this thing, and because of that, I'm going to use it as a form of procrastination. And that's a tricky trap that you can get into, even though it is, good for you. It's good for your body and things, or whatever habit you're trying to choose that's, self-improvement related, whether it's like exercising or doing a fun activity that's cool or working at a hobby or whatever. It's easier to justify than a habit that you aren't happy with, such as being addicted to League of Legends and playing it all morning and being really sad because you were being really good about it for a long, long time, but then you played one solo game and you clicked right back into addiction. And so even though you got up at 5 because the cat was meowing because she wanted to go out and hunt for birds, and you had an opportunity to work on some things you needed to work on, such as editing a really cool podcast interview that you started, you instead chose to queue up as Team Top and play a bunch of games and lose and be extra sad because you not only lost but regressed into a bad habit. I digress. You may notice that I'm spending a lot of time working shoulders, and that's because that's another one of the things in the customizable build that I'd like to strengthen and grow, because of the fact of what it was I was talking about earlier, but the fact that I haven't really been training them properly. So they're lagging behind in terms of my strength and honestly aesthetics. I got to start talking about more about how, even though I do a lot of this stuff to get stronger and it feels good, and I think that's probably the most valid and important motivation, I'm still pretty vain. I like looking better. To me, looking better is when you're looking, a little stronger, and that's something that I want to pursue. And I'm tired of society telling me society isn't telling me not to talk about that. Society actually is telling me to talk about it and show it all the time because it's good for the algorithm. There's a reason Sam Sulek goes freaking viral every day. It's because he's got a huge stack of muss on him. And the internet when you see a video of a guy with a huge stack of muscle, you're more likely to click and be like, wow, that's a huge stack of muscle, instead of a guy that's training that's just like, that looks average or skinny fat or whatever. That's not what's going to work best on Instagram. You got to do other stuff. And so a very image-focused society is naturally going to encourage me to just be very focused on my image. And that's also intertwined with my own emotional issues with regarding to needing to fill the void of despair with things that I can tangibly feel proud about, such as having a boof muscle, squeezing my arm and it goes boing, it goes boing, boing. Also, there is the aspect of trying to look more attractive for dating, which gets clowned on a lot. The idea of going to the gym to try and look better so that you'll look hot and people will want to date you. And rightfully so, because that's pretty cringe. I think that idea gets misinterpreted a lot. I want to talk about this. I think I'm kind of starting a video about gymcels, the idea of a gymcel, which is just a guy who's like, well, there's lots of different definitions of it, but in this instance, the gymcel would be a guy that goes to the gym a bunch to try and bulk up to like attract women, and then it doesn't work, so he gets mad and gets obsessed with the gym and becomes antisocial and blah blah blah. I think there's validity to the idea that a lot of people that are training to look, for men, basically they're training for the masculine ideal of what looks strong, and despite ostensibly wanting to date women, they're not actually paying attention to what women are saying when they talk about the ideal builds. There's truth to that, and I think clowning on that is fine. However, big caveat here, big caveat. Having muscle, just from my own experiences and from just kind of the world, and also statistically, as cringe as it is, it's true. Muscles, to a certain extent, people find that attractive. Not giant ones or anything by any means, just some. Just a little bit of, just filling out a shirt, That's just my own personal experience of people just approaching you more when you have a little bit of beef. And then being a little more soft-bodied and just no approach. Getting no approach whatsoever. No cold approaches. More significant than the cold approach thing is just like, in actual relationships and things like that. While dating someone, being strong, I think I have had the experience of that, being told that it is attractive and being like grabbing the arm, be like, wow. I really try to not buy into Evo psych bullshit about being the, big protector, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of that shit, man, you know what I'm saying? When you're just able to just pick someone up, feels good to me, feels good from what I've heard to them. And I hear that because I'm listening. My ears are wide open. I'm listening to women and I pay attention. I don't know why that's funny, because it just depends on who you ask. Some people don't like it. Just speaking for me personally, thank you. And that's fun. I think that's a fun feeling to have, and maybe have it more for me. More for me, please. And if you're going to comment, say, I am this person and I don't like it, that's valid. That's totally valid. And I also, people are different. There's variance everywhere, especially when it comes to looking like a big Thanksgiving turkey, like just being fully roided out and stuff. I actually fully agree. I think it looks weird. And I think most people generally do. And statistically, they do. That's something that looks weird. And that's a whole other topic of bodybuilding, chasing the masculine ideal, even though it's unattractive. But also there's caveats there too, because it's like, well, if people want to become bodybuilders, more power to you. Go nuts. You don't have to reinforce the idea that everything you do is for the pursuit of sexual relationships. You can just have a hobby and look huge for yourself. I don't know how many bodybuilders actually are thinking, wow, girls are going to love me, because it's pretty well established that they don't. That the Thanksgiving turkey build is just kind of scary mostly, but scary in a way that if you're, going to a bodybuilding competition, you want to be the scariest. You want to be the biggest, scariest hunk of meat that's in the room, and the way you do that is usually by taking steroids and things like that. And if that makes you unattractive to women, that won't matter to you if you're all about that muscle life, and more power to you in that regard, aside from the health risks. But do what you want. I'm not your fucking mom. Boys like watching bodybuilder content because usually the amount of weight they're putting up is impressive. It's like, oh, this is a feat of strength. I like this because I think it's cool. it's cool, and it's something that I'm working towards, not necessarily to be gigantic, but just to increase my strength. And this guy increased his strength all the way, and that's cool for me to watch. I don't know what the stats are, but I feel like most men that watch stuff like that kind of have that understanding. However, of course that warps body image. Of course that makes men think that this giant look is actually better for what they want to achieve. And I think that's probably bad, you know? But with regards to getting stronger and building muscle for dating, the biggest thing personally is just feeling more confident. Feeling more confident in my body when I am going out and doing whatever, you know, if I'm feeling like I'm looking good, look good, feel good, so they say. And then you just feel a little less, you know, self-conscious. I'm very self-conscious about my body. That's why I do this crap. In part, it's because, you know, for a very long time I've just been like, you know, I'm happy with how I look, but I'm also kind of not at the same time. It's a weird contradiction where I am being told by many factors of society that I should be happy with it. And if I'm not, then what do I do there? You know, do I just stop feeling that feeling? Do I do something about it? Or the other hand of the side of that is, am I doing something about it because I'm being inundated with imagery of buff boys and muscles and people telling me you gotta find a wife before the West crumbles? It could be that too. But I don't know. I felt that for a long time, just being like, I don't know. I don't feel that confident. I'm thinking about my body in a negative way too much, as opposed to thinking about it in a positive way. Maybe ideally, eventually you think about it, you just don't think about it. You just feel like, oh, I'm chilling. But for now, we're working with other stuff, working with other feelings. I realize I haven't talked at all about what's going on in this workout for about 10 minutes. So basically I'm finishing out with some triceps. I started with tricep push downs with the bar. That's where I could do the most weight. And then I transitioned to overhead extensions, which works a different part of the muscle that's a little bit, you know, weaker. So I have to lower the weight. That's my favorite one though, because the overhead extensions works the long head of the tricep, and the long head of the tricep, despite, you know, me not being the strongest with it, is it's the biggest one. It's kind of hidden underneath, and so when I work it, even with light weight, it just expands in a way that feels wild. It's like, whoa, there's a thing in there, and it's growing, it's getting bigger. But then these other ones, these other angles also feel good in different ways. Like this one, it's kind of like you're squeezing a lot, and there's a lot of tension, and it's kind of like it pinches at the end, or almost cramps in not a bad way though. It's kind of like, ooh, it burns. So that's kind of fun. I think it's fun. I think stuff like that is fun. So anyways guys, I think that's probably good for the video. You know, I don't have any more footage here, so I'm gonna overlay something cool, something fun, some image that's great. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like. Why not? I never asked for that, but here humbly, do it. Just kidding. Unless